Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skibowski of Remax Lakes. Welcome to the weekend. Welcome to the show.
Here we are. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. And for the past two shows, we have been talking about is it a good time to sell? And we've been walking up through that process, and we got to the net proceeds sheet, the sheet that basically describes what you're going to make off your house if you sell it for this price or that price or what have you.
Right, because price is really important.
It is.
To buyers and to sellers.
Mm-hmm.
And the net price is important to the sellers. So that estimated net proceeds where the agent's done the market analysis, we're priced competitively, here's your cost associated with selling, and here's what your net is. So we got to that point. So I guess the next thing is, okay, we're ready to list.
Yeah.
Right? We know what we're going to list it at. We've got all our costs related to that. We're going to list it. So what's the agent going to do? Well, they're going to have to complete all that listing paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to guide you through the process to make sure you've got the correct forms filled out. Seller's disclosure, lead-based paint, any of those items. They're going to have you sign the listing contract, which spells out the terms of the contract, how long it's going to be, all of those things. Now we're ready to go. So what happens next? That's the big question. And I can tell you, I've gone into houses to where I basically have to completely stage the house as I'm there, make the beds, move pillows, move junk, move things around to where it looks decent. And because you don't want trashy pictures. And we've all done that, right? You look at something, I don't care what you're looking at on the web, you look at the pictures, if it looks like a mess, are you going to be enticed to go and look at that? The whole objective to the pictures is to make buyers believe that, hey, this is the house for me. I want to get in there and take a look at it.
Sure.
Right? And I've heard it once, I've heard it 100 times where people say, wow, the pictures make it look great. Mm-hmm. Or I've also heard, man, the pictures don't do this place justice. Mm-hmm. So pictures, while they are not the end all, price is an important piece, your location is an important piece, but they can definitely make it to where buyers won't come and look at your house. So have your house ready when the listing agent comes to take those pictures, or if they have a photographer. I'm back in the day, I was a public affairs officer in the Air Force. I've got photography training, but I sure don't come in with a team of photographers to take a picture of a house. Mm-hmm. But there are those that do, and they seem to think that, hey, these professional photographs are what's going to sell my house. You know what? My pictures are pretty darn good. I'm a professional.
Well, with today's iPhone technology, and I mean, these cameras are better than the cameras that we had in the 80s and the 90s.
Absolutely.
And it's right there on your phone.
Then you'll point and click, right?
Yeah, right.
So the listing agent's going to take some pictures. They're going to measure the rooms. Now, the room sizes are not going to be perfect. They're not going to be exact, because I've had people, well, that isn't what my blueprint says. They're approximations, and we can only round in the MLS. We can't, so if it's 10.6, it's 11. If it's 10.5, it's 10. Then my room is 12.32695 by, we're rounding, right? It's an approximation. We're trying to give the buyers the idea of the room sizes and their location. Mm-hmm. So are the bedrooms on the main floor? Are they on the upper level? Are they in the basement? All of those things. So when the agent comes and takes pictures, they're going to do those measurements, and they're going to look for all the details related to the house. So have a good idea if you're selling, what size breaker panel do I have? Do I have a gas forced air furnace? Do I have a geothermal furnace? Not everybody knows that. The agent should know. Right. But if you don't know, ask. Mm-hmm. If you don't know, ask. How big is my breaker panel? Do I have circuit breakers? Do I have fuses? All those things go into the MLS. There are certain types of financing that if you have fuses, then you can't use that type of financing. Mm-hmm. So you may need to convert to breakers, or at least offer it as cash and conventional financing only. You can't use any of the A-type financing, VA, FHA, or USDA, if you've got fuse panel versus circuit breakers. So all of those things, the agent's going to make sure that you've got that kind of paperwork, that level of detail filled out. Do I have laminate countertops? Do I have solid surface countertops? Do I have quartz countertops, granite countertops? There's all these things that go into the MLS, and it's those features that will help sell your house.
And this is where I feel having an agent that has experience, because you just rattled off 15 different things. It's to me, I mean, I've bought 2 houses in my lifetime, and these are things that I don't know about.
You don't think about it. I mean, most of us would know if we've got solid surface or
Well,
not, but there are those that don't.
Yeah,
but when it comes to the mechanical systems and that, a lot of times people don't know.
Well, what I'm saying is like I've bought 2 old homes in my lifetime, and I don't have fuses. I've got updated.
Right,
I've got a normal breaker box and so forth.
Right.
But that you can't use like certain types of loans if you do have.
If you have those things.
Yeah, right.
So in the MLS, we put in there, or we should, as agents, because we want to clarify what type of financing is available for every property, so that buyers aren't disappointed. We have a lot of USDA buyers that want to buy foreclosures. Why? Because they're usually pretty cheap.
Okay.
Right? It's a lower cost.
Yeah.
USDA buyers, a lot of times, not always, but many times, are first-time home buyers. Well, buying a foreclosure with a USDA loan, the banks don't want to fix anything. And the banks typically have an inspection report that says, hey, the plumbing doesn't work. If the plumbing doesn't work, you can't use USDA financing because the bank is not going to fix it.
Gotcha.
So on the listing side, you want to make sure that your agent has got all of those details in the MLS, so we're presenting a true and accurate picture of the property that we're trying to sell. So the agent's going to come in, take those pictures, take the measurements, poof, it's in the MLS, right?
Okay.
And then, I think after the break, we'll talk about market statistics, because I think that's important. And then next week, that's a teaser, right?
Yeah. Right.
Next week, we'll finish up with, hey, listing my house, with all the steps in listing your house.
All right, sounds good. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skibowski of RE/MAX Lakes. And we wanted to get to basically the stats that are going on right now, because the market has still been hot.
The market has been different in different areas. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
COVID was basically all of March and all of April. The state was on lockdown while we still worked in real estate. I mean, we were an essential business. The overall marketplace is actually down for the year. So I pulled the year-over-year stats, and these numbers are all through the end of May.
Okay.
So the county was down 8% year-over-year as far as number of homes sold.
Okay.
The county. So all of Kosciuszko County was down 8%. Now the funny thing, the volume for that was up 5%.
Okay.
So the number of units sold, down 8%, volume sold, up 5%. The average sales price, up 14%.
Wow.
Right?
That's big.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
And the overall quantity of active listings is down 15% year over year.
So that's pushing price.
That's driving price. That goes back to that formula, right? The curve that economists always talk about. If demand's high and supply is low, price is going to go up.
Right.
So these numbers, reflect that. They really do. So overall, the county is down in volume sold. Dollar volume is up, units are down. Number of units sold is down. Why is that? I believe it's because the lake market has not taken off yet. Usually in April, we start to see lake properties hit the market. And when I'm saying
Makes
lake,
sense.
You go up the Barbie Chain, Webster, Tippy, Wawasee, we've got Beaver Dam, in the southern part of the county, Yellow Creek. When we see that lake market, it was really slow in developing this year. And why was that? Because people were staying at home.
Yeah,
they were staying in, we had the stay-at-home order, they were staying at home. They weren't coming up to the lake. Now, there were those that did leave hotspots, Chicago and Indy, and came up to their lake cottages and stayed in their lake cottages.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the lake market did not take off. Memorial Day weekend, people were up here. They're starting to open their cottages up. We're seeing a few more hit the market. I mean, every day they're dribs and drabs, and I get asked that a lot. Hey, when's the lake market going to take off? Well, until we have listings, it's not going to take off.
Right.
But we're starting to see those hit the market. We're starting to see the lake activity hit the market.
Okay, and I mean, and this past week and the forthcoming weeks, I mean, we're going to have some hot weather. So I imagine it's going to start taking off as we get more and more into June.
Yeah, I believe we're going to see more lake properties hit the market. Residential is going to do what it's going to do, but I believe we're going to see more lake properties start to come on. So when, we generally talk about Warsaw proper, I try to take that because it takes the lake market out of the whole equation. I mean, we do have Winona Lake and Center Lake, Pike Lake in town, Warsaw, zip code 46580. But there's not that many homes that sell on there in any given year.
Okay.
So comparing it year over year, so January 1st through May 31st of 2019 to the same time period 2020, there is actually a 12% increase in the number of units sold.
Wow.
So that is Warsaw proper, 46580.
Yeah.
Year over year, the number of units sold increased.
I never would have guessed that.
It reflects what we've been talking about. The market is hot.
Yeah.
In Warsaw.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's hot in the lake communities yet, but in Warsaw, it's definitely there. It has not dropped like people have predicted. The real estate market's going to crash. Oh my gosh, Armageddon's coming. Prices are going to drop because people are, they're not going to be able to sell their home. That is not the case. So the Warsaw market is actually a 12% increase. When I say Warsaw market, 46580.
Okay.
The zip code that we talk about, when I do stats on the show, because that reflects takes the lake market out of there. It's standard residential stuff, up 12% year over year. Have I said 12% enough times?
Right.
That's crazy.
It is
right?
Right.
It is not what you would have expected with the COVID thing. But it does reflect what we've been talking about. Things are on the market and they're going very quickly. So if you look at the average sales price for 2019, same time period, it was $161,841 for a 3-bedroom home.
Okay.
This year, it's $166,629, roughly a 3% increase year over year, which is back to normal. That is almost where we were pre-crash, 2008, 2009, and what we've seen in the past is average price increases 3% year over year. But the list to sale price is the biggie. Last year, it was 98.75%. This year it's 99.39%.
So that means that people are getting what they're asking for.
They're getting darn close to what they're asking for. If they're listed at 100, they're selling for $999.93.
Right. Yeah.
So it's awful close. So what does that say? The real estate market is still strong. And what that strength in the real estate market says to me is that the economy should follow along or should continue. The stock market's been up. Employment is still good, even though there's a lot of people unemployed. But in our county, we haven't seen, layoffs and things like that in massive scale. So real estate market is very good.
Warsaw tends to be a bubble because we kind of have our own economy, and we don't, the Elkhart economy can be completely different than the Warsaw economy. So, okay, very good. Great information. Your contact information.
Sure. The website's lakes-realtors.com. Phone number's 574-834-1233. You can always email me at markskibowski@remax.net.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mark. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.